Hey guys, thanks for tuning in today. Gonna one-shot this, so there probably will be some mistakes. Just carry on watching and you hopefully will be rewarded for your patience. So today I just want to talk about modern sort of programming in the fitness sphere and the fitness space. And now people seem to be so concerned about having a program, and it's like a multi-million pound industry that people need to purchase programs from these kind of insta gurus and YouTube famous representatives. And when you look at these programs, they're all like super generic, and they're exactly the same. It's and I've bought loads of them now, and I will put a little caveat in here, is that if you feel like you want to buy something to support somebody, I've done that many times. Like, I just think that they are putting out good content and that they are working hard, and I want to reward them. So I just buy a program for like 30, 40 quid, and I won't even open the PDF because I know what's going to be in it. It's so just cookie cutter. And what I really want to stress is how individual programming needs to be. Because let me use this as an example. Like, the Olympic coaches, they have 10 years with an athlete and they know they've got the Olympics every 4 years. But almost all Olympic athletes miss their peak by months or even years. So I would have you consider that if the top sports scientists, top strength and conditioning coaches, and world's top athletes don't know how to get a given result at a given time, then maybe your favourite Insta coach or Insta guru doesn't know how to get a certain result in a certain time either. Because biology, human biology, is as individual as a fingerprint. Will it zoom into my fingerprint? No. I have got a fingerprint now. I'm not like that superhero who can make them disappear. So yeah, that's something I would consider, is programming has to be so individual, because physiology as humans is so individual. So for some people, and it's something that's called biopsychosocial, so it has to adhere to your biology, your psychology, and your social environment. Fit those three things. So people will say low volume training is best, heavy weight is best, and low reps. But if you're somebody that struggles to push yourself psychologically through a really hard set of, say, 6 to 8 reps, you may not get results from that style of training because it just doesn't suit your psychology and your physiology. But you may be very good at doing repeated sets of high reps because maybe the sport that you did when you were younger was quite closely allied to that. So it's easy for you to do that. And is there going to be that much difference? I think over the long run, probably not. He or she who applies themselves over the long run will get very similar results, whether they're going heavy weight, high reps, heavy weight, low reps, higher weight, more reps, body weight, gymnastics. Even the guys I know that just train like MMA, they just do mixed martial arts, they just do fight training and some push-ups and some leg raises and stuff, maybe some chins. Their upper bodies look very similar to the guys I know that are hitting the gym 4 times a week and lifting weights. It's very weird, but it seems like your physical development just happens at a certain rate, almost regardless of the training modality that you're doing. If you're a pure endurance athlete, it's kind of different. Pure endurance athletes' physiques do tend to take a different shape over the long run. But I just think hard work, consistently applied, pick things that you enjoy and that you're going to want to do on a regular basis, and also that have a low barrier to entry. So if there's a lot of friction between you and your training, so like for me this winter I had to go in the garage and turn on the heater, and the weights would be all stuck together, they'd have condensation on them, they'd be all slippery, and the bar's freezing cold, and I just wouldn't want to necessarily train in there. But what I would do was go out for a run because it warmed me up while I was out, and I would do push-ups, and if I saw a bar I would do pull-ups. So I just naturally sort of over this lockdown gravitated towards bodyweight training because it had a low barrier to entry. Like, I don't have to put plates on, think about what I'm going to do that day, set some reps. I'll just jump on the bar like, oh, how many pull-ups can I do? Cool, well, I did 5 or whatever. I'll do a few sets of that until the starts to drop off, hit some push-ups, hit some dips, some body weight squats, some running, some lunging, like that stuff I really enjoy, and I don't necessarily have to think, because after 20 years of programming and writing programs for people, I don't want to have to do that for myself. I want it to just be like a spontaneous and enjoyable experience. So have a think about that going forwards. You really don't need a program. You really don't need to pay somebody because, and you know, I make my money from people paying me to tell them what to do. And I will write a program for somebody because I love doing it. It's really fun as a creative process to imagine the person, and especially when you know them, you know what they like, so you can program for them, I think, once you get to know somebody. But for most of us as individuals, we already inherently know what to do, and this is the case when it comes to training. This is the case when it comes to our finances. This is the case when it comes to our relationships. This is the case when it comes to our organisational skills. This is the case when it comes to like keeping the household in order, DIY, whatever it is. Like we kind of know what, well, DIY maybe not, but we kind of know in our heart of hearts what needs to be done to move forwards and to make progress. But because the brain is very clever, and it also wants to take the path of least resistance, it will tell us that, like, oh, well, I could start this, but I need trainers. So this is something that I'm doing at the moment, is I'm running like 5 milers in just old plimsolls just to see if anything happens to my knees or ankles, and it hasn't so far. I've done like a few 5 milers, very slow, because I haven't run for years, but just to see if like marketing, because I've spent hundreds on shoes, I just want to see if it's hype. And if nothing happens to me, then I'll let you know. And I like running these experiments, it's fun. And do I build just as much muscle doing pull-ups and dips as I did doing really complicated weight routines, which I seem to actually build more because I just can apply myself. There's no fatigue through mental fatigue through thinking about what to do and talking about what to do. Someone said, "Don't talk about it, be about it," and I think that is a good way to think. Is, you know, just to start applying yourself. Like now, just drop down and do some push-ups. Do like 5 to 8 sets, and to failure, and see how your chest, shoulders feel. Like they'll be massively pumped. You'll be sore the next day. I know loading and continuous tension and stuff like this exists, but you can't tell me that someone who's consistently doing pushing and pulling with their upper body every week isn't going to build muscle. It's you know, in caveman times we didn't have weights. And even in the early stages of weight training, we had fixed weights. So you bought a 60 kilo barbell, you had a 60 kilo barbell, fixed iron, until you bought another one. So you just have to get really good with that one. You couldn't go up in 1.25s and 2.5s, but still people in the 1900s managed to squat and deadlift like in excess of 500 pounds without even a squat rack. Just to tip it onto their back and squat it. It's just, yeah, I think now with the internet and the information age, we always think that we need something first. So we think we need some new information, or we need a new piece of equipment before we can start something. Because as I was alluding to earlier, it allows us to take that path of least resistance. And when you take the path of least resistance, you can remain sitting in your chair. So your brain goes, I should really run, but I haven't got any training shoes, and I haven't got a Garmin, and I'm not going to know how far I've run, and the weather's not really very nice, and I don't have my headphones. It's probably best for me not to run today. I just won't. I'll just sit here instead. See, like that, evolutionarily, if that's a word, we have evolved to take that path of least resistance so that we don't continuously exhaust ourselves, because we would have been searching for food. We couldn't have just acted upon every little mental impulse that we had, because we would have become exhausted. So our brain is good at kind of filtering down to exactly what must be done to survive. And these days that's not very much, but actually we need, our bodies at least, need these hard challenges in order to thrive. They need to be exposed to quite extreme stress, physical stress at times, in order to, and that physical stress that causes adaptation is known as hormesis or hormetic stress. And it just brings about improvements. Just like we need a little bit of vitamin D also for our skin to be healthier and to process fats and metabolize new bone tissue and stuff like that. We need this, like these little bits of eustress or hormetic stress in our environment. But our brain will always try and make us avoid them. So it tries to make us avoid the cold. It tries to make us avoid physical exertion. Unless you're like one of those sick people who loves the torture of physical exertion, as I kind of am like that. I like just running up hills until I can't move my legs, because it brings about a type of mental peace for me. And I feel like, you know, if people can get to that point, and everyone can, you know, I've taken some people who were like exercise haters and they just spent the whole session telling me about how much they hated exercise, and then after 3-4 months they were running up hills in the pouring rain on their own because they understood that there's something in that. There's something, you're getting more out of that than just the physical benefits. So that's what I want to say. There's no program. You don't really need a program. You'll figure it out. If you're like sitting there on the fence about starting something, like just start. And you will pick it up as you go along. Don't wait until you have more information, the right shoes, the perfect climate, the perfect equipment. Because even in the perfect circumstances, our brains will still find ways why we can't just do these things now that we know are good for us. So there we go. That's my take-home points from today. I hope it hasn't been too rambly. You don't really need a program. Just start. You'll figure it out along the way. And just watch that mental commentary. Remember, you're not your thoughts. You don't have to obey what your thoughts say. You are the master controller and you can override them if you so wish. So, yeah, I guess that's my message for today. So I will, by the way, I did a 5K last night. Terrible time. I got 33 minutes. So, yeah, don't know why. It was really hard and I hated every second of it. But I feel like that is good for us to apply ourselves to things like that sometimes. So no training for a couple of days now because I've got a busy work days, but I'd love to know what you guys are doing or what you're up to. Let us know in the comments, and if you find this video helpful, like it, share it, maybe subscribe. Okay, thanks very much. Speak to you guys soon.